Now, there's also self-fulfilling prophecy, which are self-fulfilling expectations. At least that's a part of it. You know, if you expect something in a relationship to occur, studies show that it's more likely that it will occur. If you think this person is going to like you, statistics say you have a better chance that that person's going to like you. Now, that might be a 30% statistic, so, you know, you better not plan your life around it, but it is more likely. You're going to see it, you're going to be confident, you're going to, when they respond to you, you're going to see it in a positive light. True or not, because of this self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't think they're going to like you, they probably won't, at least in your mind. And the interesting thing is they might be saying in many different ways, I like you. I like you. Hey, you're pretty cool. I like you. And you're saying, no, they don't. No, they don't. Well, you're not going to see it. Again, you're seeing through your perception. Now, if you expect something in a relationship to occur, it increases the likelihood that we will see the evidence. That's what I was just saying. We see what we expect to see, either way, positive or negative. And then labeling influences a person to become what the label states. I mentioned in chapel yesterday, I think we need to throw out the label makers. Well, it is very possible to label positively also. So maybe you don't need to throw out the label maker. You just need to make sure that you write good labels on people. What I am reacting to is I think we tend to label people very negatively and very quickly. And, you know, we have this litmus test for everything. And if you don't match up, you know, I'm going to get my checklist out here. And, Kate, I'm going to ask you questions. Oh, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. There's a whole bunch of good ones. What? You put a label on you. I don't know what that label is, but we just labeled her. Something negative. You know, we do that. I really believe we do that religiously. I think we do it within churches. I've seen discussions that were honest, academic, sincere, biblical discussions, and then somebody in the midst of it gets frustrated and they throw a label on it. You know, oh, you're liberal. You're radical. You know, you're whatever. Name it. Calvinist. I don't know. And you just label them. And what does it do? It stops the discussion. It blocks the discussion. It does. Because now they are this. And you can't be open and discussing a point with them because you have just dismissed them by a label. Politically, we do it all the time. Yes?
With denominations, we do it all the time. And how do we view that? Because to a certain extent it is true. I mean, that person claims to be Baptist, they claim to be Pentecostal, they claim to be holiness.
Well, that's a good point. And I think labels are things we also put on ourselves. And that's just reality. You're correct, Hannah. I mean, if you're Bible Methodist, if you're Episcopalian, you know, that's a label. And that's a label that most of us are willing to carry, you know. But what I don't like is this labeling somebody. I guess it's more like because there's this one point of difference, you have just painted them with this broad brush, you know. If the point that you don't like is green, you just paint them all green, you know. And there's nothing else there. That's all you see is that one point. So that's a valid thing. I mean, and politically, I mean, we have labels politically. I would accept some labels politically. But there are people I would talk to that would dismiss that label, and I said, no, you're not really, because you don't agree with me here. And what I'm reacting to, and I am reacting, anybody notices, I am reacting to this just negative thing of just polarizing somebody because there's one point of difference. And I don't think that's biblical. Okay? I just don't. And I think we need to be careful about that.
And it's more really important when you talking about kids, because they do become what you live.
Yes, and that's good, because that was the next point. Labeling can be very positive. And especially with children. Parents that label, peers that label, teachers that label. And teachers are powerful, especially in the early grades, but not just in the early grades. I can remember somehow giving a positive label to a student one time. I didn't know I did it. She came to me later, and she was in a class, and it was we just called it a communications class, which was kind of a catch-all. You learn public speaking, you learn how to do interviews, just good conversation techniques, how to write creatively and formally. It was just a little bit of everything. If it's communication, we talked about it. It's just a very practical class. And this student didn't believe she was very good at that. I guess that was true. I don't really remember a whole lot about that. But in that, I taught the class and I really critiqued them. When it came to writing, it was like, okay, now look what you can do to this that would make this sound better and more readable and would make it come alive to people. And she really took that class seriously. And she actually became a teacher. and she said, the reason I am a teacher, this was years later she told me this, she said, the reason I'm a teacher is because of the communications class. I kind of chuckled. She said, no, I'm serious. Because I thought it wasn't, this huge life-changing class. At least I didn't think so. But she did. She said, you convinced me in that class that I was able to speak and to write. And I set a goal that I was going to do this, and it led me to become a teacher. And it worked. Now, I'm sure there's probably a few students that I don't want to hear that would say, you made me think, and something negative. And we can label. And parents need to be anybody working with children need to be very careful how you label them. You can even throw what you think are positive labels on them, and it can have negative effects. I read an article not long ago on a website that I really like, is crosswalk.com. I don't know if some of you are familiar with it. They have some really good stuff on there. And one of them was, I think the title was Sexual Purity Begins at Age 7. And it was talking about how people communicate to little girls. And just saying things like, do you have a boyfriend? How many boyfriends do you have? Now, that's innocent, cute sounding thing for a 7-year-old. I don't know, maybe I've done it, But what they were saying was, what you're planting in their minds is, this is what life is about for you as a girl. And if you don't have this boyfriend or these boyfriends, there's something wrong with you. And it can cause a mindset at an early age that is not a healthy mindset. And that's kind of a form of labeling. Do you have a boyfriend? And they can go around with this label, boyfriend or no boyfriend. And it becomes their identity. And so what means more than anything else, if the identity is that, well, then it's got to be a boyfriend. Sometimes at any cost. So labels are pretty important. You need to try to think biblically. Think what makes a person believe the right things. Parents that try to encourage their children in some talent, whether it's an athletic talent, a musical talent, academic talent, that's good. I think you should encourage that. But what happens if that becomes the sole identity of that person? I am a ball player. I am a musician. I am a scholar. And that's the only identity. Is that the highest goal in life, to be a ball player, a musician, or a scholar? No. What's the highest aspiration that everybody should have in life?
Be like Christ.
Be like Christ. that should be our soul, our main identity, is right there.